I have a James Dean signature on the wall. I know what it's worth. Other people might know it's the third hardest autograph in the world to get, but it's only worth what I was willing to pay for it. There's no utility in that except for me to walk into the office and go, it's James Dean's signature. That's it. But imagine if that was an NFT, and imagine if that got you access to West Coast Customs in a private room, or it got you a tour. It has a higher value.
Welcome to the Alpha Podcast, made possible by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, hosted by me, Jussup. Before we begin, I want to remind everybody that what you're about to hear is not financial advice, nor do we endorse any of the guests or projects on the show. This is simply meant for educational purposes, and oftentimes I'm learning about these projects in real time as we're recording them. While this is brought to you by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, the opinions expressed are of my own or the guests, and not of the companies. So without further ado, let's tap into the episode. Welcome to the first episode of the Alpha Podcast. This series is going to be a series with people in the Web3 space. We're starting it off with Kurt Zendzian, one of the founders of Neverland Studios. This entire series and podcast is sponsored by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios. Without further ado, you ready to chat?
I am. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, as you nailed the last name, it's Kurt Zendzian. I'm one of the founders of Neverland Studios, and we are a Web3 company that specializes really in, well, a lot of stuff, but the one thing that we're focusing on right now is our collaboration and our partnership with West Coast Customs. We have a few projects out right now. One of them is called MetaWhips. It's a series of 11,993 uniquely generated cars.
Let's talk about your relationship with West Coast Customs.
Yeah, so it's twofold. I met Ryan in 2016. Really, the crypto space brought us together. My brother Mark and I were mining Ethereum in Florida, here, right now where you're sitting and 2 rooms over. And it was very hot, but it was very cheap. Electricity here in Florida is one of the lower parts of the United States. At the time, it was 11 kilowatts per hour, which is very cheap. And so it was great that we were mining for such an expensive price in electricity. However, the heat was unbearable, as you can imagine. So we needed a solution to cool the GPU mining rigs. And I'll give you a picture that you could show all the rigs. There was about 150 of them. And he worked with us and his team of engineers, and we came up with a device that cooled computer GPUs using air and recycling it, much like a Porsche engine does. And that's how the relationship started in 2016. I know, it's bizarre.
This idea of a video game isn't new as well, right?
No, that started as well right around the same time where we were talking about crypto and everybody was kind of learning about the space. We talked about making a video game called Empire Avenue. For those of you who haven't been to West Coast Customs or haven't read about it or watched any videos, it's really like a museum. They have cars that they've built that, were given to some celebrities, some for other clients, but pretty much you can dream it, they build it. That's one of their MOs. It's something that we wanted to bring Ryan's fans a piece of West Coast Customs without having to spend $1 million to get a car made. It's really how it started. And so he started in Compton, and then he ended up in Empire Avenue in Burbank, which is a beautiful facility. So the game is called Empire Ave, and you really start collecting assets and building your empire.
When all this started, and then...
Yeah, 16, 17, and then the market crashed, and anyone that was interested in hearing our pitch ran scared because that word... crypto, everybody got frightened by it, and they decided, I don't want to put my name on it, I can't attach to it. So it was a grind, really, to get people interested and participating in what we were trying to do. 2018, 2019, it was very quiet, and I think it was basically because the crypto market was starting to really flatten out and level, and then COVID happened. This idea of NFTs came out when really CryptoKitties was the first NFT, or one of them, but people couldn't really do what we wanted to do with CryptoKitties. It was like breeding and making cool things, and hey, you got a cat, and this cat bred another cat, but we wanted to take a car and apply a wrap to it, or a separate set of tires. And at that point, stacking NFTs wasn't an option. And if you could,
financially didn't make sense.
No, but in our head it made sense. It just didn't make sense from a financial standpoint.
Right. Then this last year we've seen everything changed.
Everything has changed, right? And I think that's what was great for us is the adaptation. When COVID hit, everybody kind of was figuring out what to do, and they started collecting. More people were inside, more people were reading, more people were getting educated on crypto and NFTs. And we dusted off the playbook and said, wait, there's a way in here. We can definitely get in. And that's what happened. How
did you get into the crypto space in general? Because you're mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was mining Ethereum. What happened was 2015, I was trying to pay for something on the web. It was 100% legal. It was outside of the United States. And they said, the only thing you can do is pay with crypto. And I said, what is crypto? And they sent me a link to Coinbase. And they didn't take PayPal. They didn't take bank transfers. There was very few credit cards that were accepted on it. I think I had to call Bank of America and allow them to send over $100 because they said, we don't know what this is. So
we got puppies.
I'm going to move them to the other room. Hang on. Girls, you're out.
Puppy break.
I like that. Meanwhile, so it was 2015.
Coinbase.
I had a client who needed something. It was completely legal. They just
not illegal.
It was just out of the United States, and they wouldn't accept PayPal. They wouldn't accept a transfer, so they said, "We're going to take Bitcoin." So I had to figure out how to buy Bitcoin because I needed this thing. I remember the first time I bought it, it was pretty scary because I had no idea what it was or what it was used for, but I knew that overseas they were starting to use it a lot. And then it hit me, and I'm like, "There's something here." You can be anonymous in a way, and obviously it's more transparent today, right? Yeah. With usernames and ETH names and things like that. But
yeah, a lot of these companies are KYC. They're forced to.
Yeah, 2015 it definitely wasn't like that. But
KYC is know your customer.
Know your customer. It's not a jelly. That would be KY. No C. We could say that, right?
Yeah.
I always think of that.
Are we going to get canceled for saying that? No, we're Probably. Good. We're good.
So I've been in it for about 7 years now, and it's very emotional, and that's one thing, maybe we should talk about is kind of these emotions that run through people that are new into crypto. When I say new, I'm saying like a year on, like us OGs who have been beat up pretty hard. The story I can tell about when I made my first profit on Bitcoin, I was so excited. I went to go sell it. It was when it was, I think, 2017. It was up to like 20,000 or whatever it was, 19. So I went to go sell it out of Coinbase. I was like, I got a profit. This is fantastic. I didn't realize I had locked, the Coinbase had an option for what they call the vault, and they require a 48-hour hold.
So you supposedly a protective measure.
Yeah, it protected me from making a profit. So I didn't sell for a profit, and I think the next day it was down to $9. But that was my first I'm gonna make some money with Bitcoin. Yeah, it didn't happen. I think I threw my phone when I'm trying to unlock it and it said, you have 48 hours to wait. And I was like, really? So it's emotional.
But now it's been a regular occurrence.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
But it's emotional, and that's anything. NFTs are emotional. Anytime you put your own money on the line and invest into something, it's heightened, right? We always say, I think you and I talk about it, a day in crypto or a week in crypto, it feels like a year in a regular investment. And anytime, you go to a Discord and you're talking to people about a project and, God forbid should they take a 1-day, break on a Sunday. Everybody's getting rugged. Where's the founders? Where's the team?
Can the devs do something? Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It is. Yeah. It's like literally like, oh yeah, these guys are fake. They're rugged. I'm like, no, bro, it's Valentine's Day.
Right. No, you can't have a life.
My kid is being born. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, nope.
And what's cool too, if we can segue into the responsibility of these bigger brands when they get into the space. That's one thing. It's been a blessing for us and a curse, right? Bringing West Coast Customs into the space, we've had such a responsibility. We made a commitment to Ryan, and we made a commitment to West Coast Customs as a team that we were going to do this right. And if that meant a slow burn and that meant selling 10% in the first month or 2 months, it doesn't mean the team is not working around the clock. You know that. You're on the day-to-day.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a big team, but we're also working very hard, and it's very calculated. We're not going to go for the money grab where we pay a celebrity $500,000 to go out and show us. It's not in our roadmap or our game plan.
This episode is brought to you by Neverland. And no, we're not talking about the California ranch. You're probably wondering, aren't you a founder? Yes, I am, and I'm not here to bullshit you. Along with my two cousins, Mark and Kurt, our partners Rob and Evan, and the world-famous West Coast Customs, yes, the guys behind Pimp My Ride. We're building a car customization, collecting, and racing game on the blockchain called Empire Ave. Empire Ave will sit in the Neverland world, along with the MetaWhips and the Meta Racer minigame, the Crypto Dad Dadlands mower racing game, and the ever-expanding metaverse that's going to continue to grow. You can find out more by visiting www.neverland.io. That's www.nvrland.io. Let's get back into the episode. It was very important for us to think about every move and how to not come across as a cash grab. And we constantly talk about this behind the scenes all the time. It's like, leave nobody behind. Literally have used those words.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at ways to give additional utility to people who came in the first drop, which was Origin Protocol, right? We're still looking and exploring ways of bringing them over with an airdrop, making sure that they feel that they got a value out of what they bought. It's not just, in the beginning it was funny, right? Because you see it too. It goes, hey, this is a fine art drop, and there's no utility. But everybody keeps calling like, hey, it'd be cool if we had a utility. It'd be cool if that opened up this or that opened up that. I mean, you remember the first call with Origin. What did they say? The new term is utility. Something's coming out that they're going to attach. We don't know exactly what it is, but you should start thinking about what that NFT is going to get you long term.
Right.
Because it's one thing to buy a fine piece of art. I have a James Dean signature on the wall. I know what it's worth. Other people might know it's the third hardest autograph in the world to get. But it's only worth what I was willing to pay for it. There's no utility in that except for me to walk into the office and go, it's James Dean's signature. That's it. But imagine if that was an NFT. And imagine if that got you access to West Coast Customs in a private room, or it got you a tour. It has a higher value. As things start to condense and combine, we're not going to be here forever. We hope West Coast Customs lives on and on and on. But the reality is these opportunities become smaller, so those pieces of art become they're worth more money. I mean, there's an office in the other room filled with things that nobody knows about that we're doing.
Right.
And it's fun when I get to sprinkle a little bit in the Discord. And I did it today with these really cool beta kind of prototype trading cards.
Yeah.
And the whole concept is there was a gentleman in the Discord named Trust Me, and he kept buying and buying and buying, looking to get the Lambo. And he was getting cheetah and leopard print whips over and over, and that became the joke, was the Hoochie Mama whip that he kept getting. And we decided after he hit about 22 that this couldn't go on. I couldn't watch him keep minting and getting. So there's 30 Lamborghinis in the whole entire collection, and then there's 30 Jags and 30 minivans and 30 lowriders. Those are the most rare. And the other one is a 50 Merc, which you can see here on the screen. That's Ryan's car. It's just a miniaturized version. So the point of the story was we added additional utility, and we said to Trust Me, you know what, we're going to come up with the Meta Whale Club. Mint another 3, and we're going to design you a custom MetaWhip Lambo. And we're going to only take 19 of people. Whoever gets 25 MetaWhips first, you get to sit with the artist, with Sean Malone. He's going to open up his screen in Blender, and you're going to pick colors, you're going to pick tires, you're going to pick neon. Then we're going to mint that. We're going to put it in a collection. You get it. And we're also going to make you a physical trading card that goes with it.
Very early on, we've had conversations about how important the community is. How much of this has kind of shown you how big the community is?
Yeah, it's everything. I wouldn't say, I would rather have 5,000 people on Discord than 2 million on Instagram or 2 million on Twitter. Twitter, and they're great for getting a message and a word out. They're great for hosting contests and giveaway. But the true user is coming back to the Discord, and that's where they're living on these projects. 100%.
And these guys die hard across all platforms.
And that's what's so great, because we can mobilize an army, right? We can say, hey, let's get a Twitter raid going. And those are very important social media streams to get the message out.
Right.
But when you're talking about doing a one-to-one where you don't get lost with your client or your customer or your fan, it's Discord. You have a direct connection to them immediately in their pocket, where you're not going to get lost in a feed with 2 million other users.
Yeah.
So it's been huge. And look, we've built Discord appropriately, right? We didn't do any invite contests. We didn't do any spamming. We didn't do any invite this person, win this. We have almost 6,000 people organically. We're continuing to build, and it's a strong community. Very proud of that community we've created.
The Skirt Squad.
Skirt Squad.
Yeah. You want to talk about the video game?
We absolutely can. So there's a couple things on the table right now. Neverland Studios is making a world like Disney, and there's going to be wonderful things that live inside the Eververse. It's not just one game. It's going to be several games. It's going to be a drag style game. There's going to be the Crypto Dad's Mower drag style game. There's going to be a game called Empire Avenue, which is the big game. And there's a lot more to be announced. But the whole concept was to bring users together in one place, not spread them out. The one game I believe we're going to hit first with is it's almost like a drag style racing game where you can line up to 5 MetaWhips at once. They race against each other and you earn certain points. What the cool thing is the car that you're getting to race, it's a representation of the car that you own. So if you have a car with a dual shaker hood, that dual shaker hood comes over to your kind of metaverse Tron style car. So it's not a one-to-one where if there's a surfboard on the top, you're going to get a surfboard in your game. However, that surfboard has a rarity trait, which might make you surf faster in the game, so you might get 1 extra point. So all these things are baked into the contract where we've gone through and literally looked at, okay, there's a gold bar on the hood, there's a kayak, there's a hammer, there's lasers, there's a 10-spoke wheel, there's red lines. All these things have a value that the lower rarities don't. So we're going to stack the cars accordingly, and those attributes do come over to the new game, which I'm pretty proud of because I think that's going to be cool.
How much learning have you had to do on and like working on the fly and creating tools that didn't exist to make this happen?
I mean, we joke, but it's true. Everything we've done from building the artwork here, they're tools that didn't exist. You know, in the typical West Coast customs fashion, we always say a client comes in and they want to do something to a car that nobody can. Ryan has to figure that out.
How do you put an aquarium in?
I need an aquarium in the back of my car.
Yeah.
You know, I need a chandelier, a popcorn maker, and a bead maker. Like, that's just the reality of it all.
Bowling alley in my
Bowling
van.
alley, exactly. So where we are now is writing Python scripts, writing .NET, writing programs that just don't exist to do what we're trying to get them to do. The one thing I've spoke about in other podcasts is Blender is a very friendly 3D program. I love Blender. I think the community is so strong. Again, community. That's why it's so strong. They have tools to create kind of generative, but they didn't have what we needed to do. When you're looking at this artwork, there's shadows, there's reflections, there's things on here that you just can't do in Photoshop from a generative side. You just can't do it. So we were tasked with I don't want to say a problem, but it was definitely a challenge of figuring out a way to write a script that went in based on a rarity table. And I think at some time we're going to share the rarity table and screenshots of the program as it's running so people could really respect and understand what went into this. But there's 90 days straight of coding from 2 guys to get that script to work.
Talk about these 2 guys that they have literally learned this. This is the first time they've learned how to do this. Huh?
So Angelo and Raul, these guys are OGs in the space as far as computer programming and writing, programs and data. They didn't know much about crypto until recently. So the language is the language, right? Rust is Solana. I forget offhand, but there's a whole different set of coding languages.
Right.
They know those languages for the last 10 to 12 years. They've been studying them. They've been writing applications. So now when you look at kind of Solana, how they code on top of this, or Ethereum, all they're doing is just dissecting another layer that applies to a language that's already written. So at the end of the day, what's happening is they just have to learn a little tiny kind of widget or a module that plugs into what they already know. But it's fun because it's pushing them to boundaries that they felt like they were kind of tapped out at their craft. And now you give this project to them and they're like, okay, so I have to have a script that reads from a database that Nano Mark, fills in with all the rarity traits. Then after it uses it, it can't use that again. Right? If there's 5 hammers on the floor, it needs to make sure that it only uses it 4 more times.
Right.
And then keep track of it. And then output it. And then create the metadata. It's a thing. But it was very challenging and very rewarding. And it's so, like, I don't know, it makes me feel good when people look at it and go, I can't believe the detail of these things. And people come forward and go, oh, this one has the reflection here, and there's a hammer with this. And it's like, yeah, people are noticing. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the art stands out.
Yeah,
among
it does.
a lot of the other art, and
it does.
This is something that we definitely didn't cut
We didn't cut corners on that.
No.
No.
The community itself has been incredibly strong. I guess what are some things that you're looking forward to in the space?
So I think for me, like an example is tonight, we're having a mint party. And the one thing I wanted to do was make sure that everybody that was in there had some type of additional value. So going back to the community, it was like, okay, if you're holding 2 MetaWhips and you mint tonight, that is a celebration. You're holding 3 of something that we created that's worth a decent value. So I wanted to reward these people, and I said, listen, there's 20 of these playing cards that never existed. They're not going to exist after this. Let's just give them away. If someone mints something beautiful tonight, let's print that out. Let's put it in the case, and I'll show them to you. They're awesome. And those are things of added value that we're always surprising the community with. You know, Super Bowl, we gave away an ETH. We gave away an ETH and I think 5 MetaWhips.
Yeah, 2 of those I had to give away.
2 of the, because you opened your mouth again. But those are things, it's like it just starts with the community, and when the community feels satisfied with what we're doing, they tell people, and they invite their friends there, and it becomes a word of mouth without having an invite contest where people are going to leave the server in a day anyways.
Right.
So that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited to build the community and to keep giving value. I love the physical as you call it. I love that aspect of it because it gives our users, especially who are collectors. A lot of these people are car guys. Some of them aren't. We have a lot of females in it too. Some of them, you know, one in particular, Ann Joy said, you never thought there'd be this many females in the group. I said, no, but I'm happy because it just shows that we're a community, right? It's for everybody. It doesn't matter. And I don't think Ange is the biggest car girl in the world, but she came over and started learning about the attributes. She started learning more about West Coast customs. Excuse me.
She's a big gamer.
She's a huge gamer.
Yeah.
Right.
And then this
kind of popped off. And it's cool because now she's telling her friends. And then her friends are going to tell her friends. But if we can give them an experience, it's like the NFTs are great, right? It's cool. You look at them on your wall, you're like, oh, this is great. I got this. But imagine if your phone was turned off and you had a physical die cast like that right there behind you. Like those are something that you could pick up and show people. Those are tangible items. And I'm a big fan of finding the right way to bring in digital items, physical items when it's appropriate.
And attaching them. Yeah. I mean, you're also of a little older
generation.
Yeah. And,
but that's how you bridge the gap.
Yeah. Which has been important for you, right?
It has, because the OG Hot Wheel collectors and the diecast guys, they were just, I'm not going to buy anything digital. But then it's like, well, wait a second. What if we told you that the only way that you could get this, the only way, there's only 50 of them in the world, is you had to go to Coinbase, find a way to buy money, move it to your MetaMask, and buy this from OpenSea. Because you were such a fan of this, they would find a way to do it. Right. And that's where we're at right now. They're finding ways to do it because it's closing in. You know, I could tell the story because I'm sure Ryan will listen, but he called up the other day and he had to get something for his daughter, a digital asset. And he ended up moving money into Coinbase and the whole MetaMask thing. And I'll beep out the swear words, but it was basically, you were right. You told me there would come a day when I'd be forced to understand NFTs and crypto because my daughter would ask me for a digital asset and I couldn't say no. It's going to happen to all of us. You're going to go to your favorite sports team, your favorite bar, your favorite restaurant, and in order to access certain parts, it's going to require an NFT someday. You want to get into the wine cellar that only 5 people could fit into? Okay, sir, that's great. Can I please see your wallet and your NFT?
I have a feeling they won't call it an NFT.
No.
But yeah, I definitely.
They'll call it a digital asset.
Or just do you have your event ticket and you won't even realize that you're holding an NFT.
Yeah, we talk about that. It's going to happen.
So when did you buy your first NFT? Where was the?
When was the moment?
Yeah,
it's a great question. So I bought from the metaverse drop from Origin, but I wouldn't call that the first kind of full entry into it because I used my credit card. And it kind of took the fun out of it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But it was very convenient. And I think that's what people are still looking for is the convenience.
What is the last thing you minted?
I minted last night.
A MetaWhip.
Yeah, I minted a MetaWhip last night.
What is the last thing you minted outside of a MetaWhip? Of a MetaWhip.
It's probably a MetaWhip. I think I'm holding like 42 of them. I'm bullish on the project if you couldn't tell. And I made a commitment to the community. If I mint a 1 of 1, I'm going to give it away.
Nice.
If I mint a Lambo, a lowrider, a Jag, and a minivan, or a minivan.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I need a cool avatar.
I know. Are you minting tonight?
I might.
So that's a yes.
I'm running out of ETH in that wallet.
You got to sell those teeth, those nice teeth for ETH.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You haven't bought any dumb NFTs?
I have not. You can look at my wallet. It's
I'm trying to think of one that I know that.
Nope. No dumb NFTs. We can go wallet to wallet. Just up 11.
Oh, mine's bad.
So I've heard.
Yeah, we don't need to look at that.
All good.
I set some to hidden.
You're smart.
Yeah, there was a few that were just not good purchases.
But they look good in the beginning, right?
Yeah, and like you think that there's some support and like, oh yeah, this team is going to do something cool. And again, I think, going back to a week feeling like a year and stuff like that, I think a lot of these things, like, we got to be patient, like, I mean, there's no way that anybody is going to turn out a AAA game in
a year.
Yeah, like, like, why don't I have it done in a week? Like, well,
yeah, I mean, patience. I had not a single gray hair, and I had a full head of hair when this project started. I'm now gray and bald. So if that doesn't tell you the amount of patience that I have for this project and this space, then I don't know what to say.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because you have a lot of people in the space that are buying just to flip and make a quick dollar. And then there are people who are looking at it like, I am going to really invest and sit into this project. And I don't even like using the word invest, right. Mainly because there's also
financial advisor terms. They partake in our project.
Yeah. Just when you participate in anything, like you start to understand like how you can affect, especially when you look at like the floor price is literally driven by the community. We all determine what the floor price is. So when people are like, the floor is dropping, and then they post it for less than the floor, is like, you're dropping
the floor.
So it's interesting because when you really look into these communities and these projects, it's almost like the most successful ones are the ones who have the ability to unionize the most and get everybody to raise the floor, because essentially we determine it, and then also who's willing to buy it. But that's literally the community's building hype around it, right?
What's the one comment that annoys you the most when someone new comes in from Discord?
Is this project dead? That's a question. I'll hear that.
Right. I think mine is, similar. Why isn't this sold out?
Yeah.
It's because you're not buying it. That's why it's not sold out. Or they start asking questions without reading the big, bold left-hand, topics on the Discord, which we've done a really good job. And we've actually, I always joke around and I say, like, websites who are getting spammed, they actually learn from the spammers how to protect those websites. So that whole kind of mindset could be applied to Discord with questions that come in. You look at what people ask, and then you take that and you make the website, in this case, smarter, right? If someone comes in and says, what's the mint price? You look and you go, well, we should have put it up here. We didn't list it. So then you go in and you add a header that says mint price. What's the mint address? So it makes you smarter as a community when people ask the questions that you think are not necessarily
good questions, but they are good questions. Yeah. So, which is interesting because this brings up a point that I wanted to touch on earlier, just being directly involved with this project. All the other interviews, I don't have any, I'm not a part of. So this one I'm interjecting, but I tried to do it unbiased, but it's impossible. So one thing that I hear often and I kind of want us to address is like, you said I think I saw today, somebody said, at what phase in the roadmap are they in? And I think what's really interesting about what we have done, because you look at the metaverse has dropped on ETH. Then we did something on Hedera, and now we're looking at the game on Solana. And some people are like, well, why are you all over the place? It may look like we're all over the place, but in my mind, we have done so much listening to the community that everything is just pivoting and shifting to make the best experience for the most amount of people coming into our community. And it's just listening and responding. We can have an idea of like, all right, here's the roadmap that we set out, but if things are not going well this way and the community is saying, hey, we want to buy some things on Hedera,
right?
Like, we're trying things in order to make the best experience for the community.
Because if you don't try, you've already failed.
Yeah, and it's all about listening.
It is. And we have the best, and I don't say this lightly, the best Discord moderators in the history of Discord. And in order to get those moderators, I took a Zoom call with them or a Discord call, and I talked to them, and I got to know who was going to be watching over the servers of the guardians, we call them. We made sure that they were doxed in a sense where they cared about the project. They were holding MetaWhips. They came up with trivia questions. Someone came up with 100 trivia questions that there was things in there that I didn't even know. And he said, I know my MetaWhips. And it was yummy raw. And he sent it over, and it was like, I didn't know there was 8 gold bars. I didn't know this. And these guys are committed. And why that's important is because they are the ones at the front of the line. I always say this because I'm a big sports guy, right? That is our offensive line. We are the quarterbacks. We are trying to take the ball, get it in the end zone, and without the protection of these guys, which is a hard position to take, because let's face it, sometimes, these fudders, they know when to come in. 4 a.m, 2:45. Those guys are in there like this. They're like, not on my watch. And they're professional. And their responses happened today. The guy ended up minting. Somebody came in asking if the project was dead. Of course it's not. Yummy walked them through the entire thing. At the end of it, the guy goes, this is great. I just bought one off OpenSea. That's all it takes is patience. It takes patience, and it helps to educate and help inform. And then you might have a new community member if you can be patient with them.
Going back all the way to the beginning when you said like this was originally for the fans, and it's the same kind of concept as now it's the community.
I mean, you've been on those calls. You've heard Ryan say it. It's always about the fan. Everything from shipping to production to delivering to whatever it is. He didn't stay in business for 29, 30 years this year by not delivering quality projects. This one's no exception. We'll hit our numbers. But, you've been at West Coast. You've seen sometimes builds take a year.
Yeah.
But they're done right. The best that there is. That's what we're hoping for.
That's what we're building on this side.
We are. We absolutely are.
So what's the purpose of this podcast?
In general, I mean, look, it's cool to just talk to people in the space and get some face-to-face and really help the listener and the fan understand where we're coming from. Let them understand the project. I invite conversations. Like, if you're closed-minded and we can't have a conversation about something, either I'm not going to learn or you're not going to learn. There's a lot of learning to do in this space. Still a lot of learning. Even guys like me who have been in it and lost a lot of money and made a lot of money. I'm still learning every single day, and it's based upon the community.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. I got a very quick story, but it's cool because somebody came into the Discord when it first opened. They earned a Lambo status, which takes a lot of grinding. They ended up getting sent to the gallows, which is someplace you never want to end up. It means you get kicked off the server for fudding. 4 weeks, 6 weeks later, we get a direct message on the West Coast account from someone who was having a hard time with an issue with shipping on one of our other drops. And I said, listen, we're going to make it up to you. I want to airdrop you a couple things. Can you join the Discord? Excuse me. And he said, I already joined the Discord, but I got sent to the gallows. I said, you got sent to the gallows? So I went in Discord and I looked and I said, sure enough, he's in the gallows. So I said, what did you do? He goes, I guess I was fudding. Okay. I said, well, what are you holding? And he sends me his link. And he had like every single drop that we've ever done. From Access, he had all the Grinch Christmas stuff. He had all the SEMA drops. He had 3 MetaWhips. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know, man. I mean, it was kind of a cool in a sense where this guy got kicked out of our Discord for fudding, but he wasn't selling. He said one thing that somebody didn't like, and it was probably aggressive, and he got booted. So I invited him back to the Discord 6 weeks later, and he was so happy that he was now back part of the community. But that's the kind of fan I think that we're embracing with what we're doing, right? Like, you can come in the Discord and speak your mind. You start getting nasty and dropping F-bombs, you're out, right? We'll listen. But anybody else in any other project might have said, oh, screw these guys, I'm out, and sell everything for 0.001 on the floor just to tank it, right? But no, this guy was so respectful and appreciative when we had a one-on-one conversation. I spent 45 minutes in a DM. You read it. Mm-hmm. You saw it.
I did.
But that's what I mean about opening a conversation where you need to be willing to hear both sides of it. And now this guy, not going to use any names, he's in the Discord telling people how the project is going and what the roadmap and what we're doing. And that's what I love, right? Just took a conversation.
Yeah. So you'll see me in all of the podcasts. A lot of it is we're learning too. And I think that's one thing that we are doing this for is if I'm learning from all of these things, we're going to assume there are people listening to this that are learning. And the entire thing is sponsored by MetaWhips, Neverland Studios, and West Coast Customs.
And I'm guessing you didn't learn anything from today's conversation because you've heard the story from me 100 times. Is that right? Is that true?
Well,
you like to learn something new on every podcast.
I know all. That's why it's like hard to interview and then
because you've been part of all these conversations. Right?
I've heard this so many times. I could have faked it and been like, "Oh wow, really? I didn't know that."
Well, but what I do love is I hear you in conversations reciting parts of the story.
Like, I know.
When the boys started this in 2016.
I'm sure you'll hear it, and I'm almost positive I've said it multiple times in episodes to people. So they're like, "So how did you get involved?"
And I'm the whole Disneyland. I see you smiling because I know you've used that one before.
Oh yeah,
building the video game.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's the best. I mean, once we have our analogies and we keep
they're great.
But yeah, we wanted to kick this off with getting to know Kurt, who is one of the founders. He's my cousin. We have Mark, who is not here.
He's also our cousin and brother.
Yeah, he's Kurt's brother, my cousin as well. Another founder is Rob, who is Mark's brother-in-law. And then Evan.
We keep the squad very tight. Very tight.
We just wanted to introduce, kind of get to know who we are and kind of the motive behind the podcast. Obviously, we want to promote the MetaWhips and the brand, doing this by creating cool content, and like the quality is not going to be cheap. Just like everything else.
It's like everything else. We'll have a waterfall that comes down the
Listen
wall.
how crisp this is.
I know, we're crispy. Got headphones.
Yeah.
Did we pay for these, or was that out of your budget?
That was out of mine.
Okay, good.
I'm going to expense it.
I know you are. Man, neon signs getting expense too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and make sure you check out the website as well. It's metawhips.io. You can learn about the project, or westcoastcustoms.com.
Lots of cool stuff that we're building, and the episodes are going to be from different times. Some of them are a few months ago. Some of them are literally a couple weeks ago. So
Joseph's been busy.
Yeah, go listen to them. Get yourself a MetaWhip. The video game is in the works. Hopefully by the time you see this, we'll have closed around and
skirt. Some big news coming up.
Yeah, things are moving. So strap in. Listen.
Put your seatbelts on. It's going to be a fun ride.
What was the slogan I came up with? Tap in.
Tap in.
Yeah. The Alpha Podcast. Tap in.
That was a good one.
You're tapped in with the Alpha Podcast. All right. Enjoy.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, wait. One last thing. We're going to hide some secret things in this entire series, and you'll know when you find them. Once you find them, we're going to give away a few MetaWhips.
There might be some phone numbers. There might be some things to scan. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you'll know. Look for QR code. Look for
a phone number.
Phone number.
You know when you know.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.